When I walked past him, he just barked at me as if I was some stranger. I didn't want to even demonstrate to you how he spoke to me because it was so ugly. Our mother was virtually on her deathbed. He did not even ask me anything about her health, nor did he tell me anything about what the treatment they had given her in Singapore through the context of his son, who was allegedly a doctor, and I knew nothing about him being a doctor in any way whatsoever. So I was still knowing something was wrong, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what the meaning or the purpose of my brother's close relationship with the Gomez family. Apart from that, I must also tell you that my three first cousins, the three sons of Mr. and Mrs. Doreen and Jerry Gomez, also, out of them, two of them live overseas in Australia. Normally, when people who live overseas visit their home country, they meet up with their relations, their family members for a meal or some sort of fellowship. But whenever these two guys, Hiran and Kevin, visited Sri Lanka, they never contacted me. They had no contact with me in any way whatsoever, but they visited all the other friends and relatives, enjoyed their company, had fun and all that. But I was treated as an alien and an outcast by my own two first cousins. The youngest boy who was here and is still here also had no contact with me in any way whatsoever. They always treated me as if I was some sort of enemy of theirs, and I don't know why. I finally found out that the testamentary case of my biological father was going to be coming up. But I wasn't interested in going for it because I knew that there's going to be nothing there for me. However, after the testament case over, I managed to obtain a file of the case, the entire case file of his testamentary case, which was 143 pages long, and here it is. It's like a big fat book. This is in my hand right now. Here is also the plan which had been done for the property shortly after my mother's death. When I went through the testamentary case, I found out that my biological father's last will had been created and executed just 4 months after my mother died. In that last will and testament, I had been omitted, excluded from an estate worth approximately 1,500 million rupees. It's here. In the testamentary case file is his last will, of which I am now showing you 2 pages. In the last will, all the names, my brother and sister's names were there. The Gomez family, most of their names were there, but I had been omitted. In the last will, my biological father stated that he had indirectly and directly looked after me during his lifetime, which was the joke of the century, because when you watch part 1 and part 2 of my life testimony, you know exactly what happened to me and as to how I had been looked after or not looked after. Anybody with any sort of intelligence can see that. But the opposite had been stated in the last will, saying that he had looked after me and been generous to me or whatever while he was alive, and so that there's nothing left for me after he died. It was a shock to me. All I know is that the Gomez family had been eyeing our wealth for a long time. For decades they had been eyeing our wealth. Before my mother died, she told me that Jerry and Doreen Gomez had visited her and my biological father one evening and spoke to them in an intimidating manner, asking them to be generous and to share whatever wealth that we had. This despite the fact that Mr. and Mrs. Jerry Gomez and their children already had enough of wealth. Mr. Jerry Gomez's youngest son is married to a wonderful young lady who is from the most prosperous parts of Colombo, living in a huge house and bungalow which is worth hundreds of millions of rupees. Apart from that, they have another property on Duplication Road itself, which houses one of the leading banks in Colombo, another very valuable asset. But despite all this, they had been eyeing our family fortune for decades. That much I know, and that much my mother also told me. Apart from this, the company that we owned also, my brother and sister took that as well. Nothing left for me, nothing absolutely whatsoever. The fact of the matter is I don't like to talk about money. But I have to now, because my mother's dream, which was that I build up the company and bring it to a success, was destroyed by my biological father and my brother and sister, which I have stated very clearly in parts 1 and 2 of my testimony. Right? If they had allowed me to succeed, I would not even have to make this video to talk about money and about the evil of money. Right? I wouldn't have bothered to turn. I wouldn't have even blinked an eyelid when I found out that I had been excluded from the last will and testament. But the fact is, all those dreams were destroyed. Right? I never made it a success in life financially because all three of them were against it right from the beginning, right from the day of my birth. Apart from the company, there was also a personal bank account of my biological father and mother, a joint account at the Bank of Ceylon Metropolitan Branch, which had almost 7 million rupees there. All that also had been taken. I would like to talk a little bit to you now about my brother. I still remember when I went to Singapore for my brother's wedding. It was in a large banquet hall and the reception was held here at the Colombo Hilton. The wedding, when my brother's wedding, we went to Singapore for the wedding and I was staying in a hotel room with another relative of mine. When we went for the wedding, I had nothing to do with the wedding. He did not involve me in any way with the wedding, although I was his younger brother. I had to stand in a long queue to go and wish the couple. The queue consisted of friends and things like that. Though I was his own brother, I had to stand in a long queue to go and wish him. When I reached him to wish him and I gave out my hand like this, he turned his back on me. Right? I was still a teenager and I had to walk away without wishing my own brother. Right? That is the way my brother has treated me since the day I was born. Another thing about him I must say is that every birthday after I became an adult, he has attacked me in some way or the other. So many birthdays, I was unable to spend the birthday with my parents because exactly for the week of my birthday, he would somehow threaten them or do whatever and summon them to be with him and his family overseas. So on so many of my birthdays, I was abandoned here all alone. My sister anyway never spoke to me or wished me. My brother also never sent me any sort of card or anything like that. But he made sure that my parents abandoned me here for my birthday and left me here all alone. And when my birthday arrived, not a call from my brother, not a call from my mother or my biological father. Nobody wished me. I never got a gift. Nothing. Not even a cake was sent to me, which they could have easily done and arranged, although they were overseas. Then on one of my birthdays, my brother sent me a horrible email. It was, I think, some sort of computer program where when I opened it, there were two eyes on the screen, which was like a horror movie, looking at me and blinking at me and saying, "We are watching you." I didn't know what this meant. It was a great shock to me. I opened it early in the morning on my birthday, and this is the sort of thing that he sent me for my birthday. Not a wish, but some sort of threat or some sort of warning, which I failed to comprehend because I had done nothing wrong to my brother. I want to say that I have never done anything against my brother or his life. My brother managed to go to the UK in his late teens. He studied there. Then he moved to Singapore. He got married. He had a successful life. And he has a successful life now also. I have never tried to harm his life or be an obstacle in his success or anything like that. He got everything that he wanted. Everything turned out for him well. But while he was pursuing his life, he always made it a point to come back and destroy my life. That was his hatred towards me, right? And he's still filled with that hate. I don't use Facebook and stuff like that, but if you access his Facebook page, you can see that there is no photo of his mother. There is one photo of him with our biological father, but no photo whatsoever of his mother can be appeared on the front page of his Facebook account. I have learned one thing. I'm now 52 years old. This is now being 8 or almost 9 years since I recorded part 2. What I have learned is this: the love of money, not money itself, but the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil, and it can lead men and women to do terrible things, horrible things, because they love the money so much. Right? Look at me today. I don't even have a car because I can't afford one. My entire life, The dreams that my mother had for me, which became my own dreams as well, were destroyed. If you watch part 1 and 2, you will see that. After that, I left because it's so horrible living in a family where your brother and sister not only treat you as if you don't exist, but treat you as if you are their mortal enemy. Right? I have always been there for my brother and sister whenever the need arises. But they hated me for it. They hated me for being there. They hated me for doing whatever that I did, which was always good. And when I left, I said I left for good. That was because I was so tired of being a member of this family. I would also like to say that after my brother had watched the part 2 of my DVD, he had made a very shocking statement. I will let a few seconds pass by before I tell you what the statement was, what the statement he made was after watching part 2 of my DVD. Here's what he said. After watching part 2 of my DVD, when I had proclaimed that I left for good, he had come to Colombo and proclaimed that this is a great victorious moment in his life, and that now everything that my biological father and mother had belonged to him and not anything to me. This was after I had received just 2% of the family's wealth as a gift from my mother. This is the sort of love that a brother displays to his younger brother, is it? After all that I have been through, which I have recorded in part 1 and 2, he had just said that it is so fantastic that I left. And he had come here and behaved like a thug and proclaimed that everything is now rightfully his and that nothing belongs to me. So just to close by saying that be careful about your love for money. If you love money too much, it can destroy you. It can destroy your life. It can destroy your relationships. It can destroy everything. I have seen it happening to my brother and my sister, and he's close associated with the Gomez family, right? All the other names in the testamentary case file, this file that I showed you, the Gomezes or people very close to the Gomezes. Now today I'm 52 years old now. This is the sort of age when I'm supposed to be going into some sort of retirement or something like that. But nothing. I have not even got started in building up my life. If you watch part 1 and 2 and now watch this part, you will see how much my brother and sister, together with the Gomez family, have robbed me of what is rightfully mine. First they made me so tired of everything that they made me leave. Then after I left, they have proclaimed it's a great victory. I also want to inform you that on the first year anniversary of my mother's death, there had been a huge function, a party, celebrating something. At that time, I didn't know what they were celebrating. I thought they were just celebrating her death. But after I found out that just after her death, my biological father had written his last will, which had omitted me, right? Because after that the first anniversary came up. And on that first anniversary, a huge party had been held at Rosemead Place, Colombo 7. And Mr. Gomez had gone there for the party, dressed in his best and finest clothes. And my brother had also been there. So with that, I will leave you. I just want all of you to know what has happened to me. Those of you who are watching, my friends, my other relatives, please pray for my brother especially. My sister, of course, had been through a rough life. She had faced many disappointments. So I don't want to say anything much about her. But look at my brother. Everything a man wants, a man desires, he has got. I have achieved none of that. But I am close to my God. His name is Jesus Christ of Nazareth. And he has spoken out about all these things. You will now shortly see a Bible verse on your screen. I urge you to read it very carefully and learn from it and learn from my life story. May Jesus Christ of Nazareth be with all of you, and may God bless you once again. Thank you.